Okay, time to look at the syllabus. So it is jam-packed full of information. So hopefully I've organized it in a way that makes sense and makes it easy to find what you're looking for. If at any point you have a question, email me, but you can also feel free to leave a comment right in the syllabus. Just use the comment tool and I will answer it right in the syllabus for you. Okay, so here's my information. I think it's really important to include a land acknowledgement statement. So it's right there in the syllabus, whether you're here where I am at Roberts or not, this land acknowledgement statement at least represents where we are here at Roberts, which is on the homelands of the Seneca and Haudenosaunee people. Here's my contact information. I do give you my cell phone number because, to be quite honest, sometimes it's easier if you need a quick answer just to shoot me a text. I get a lot of emails and I do my best to reply to everyone within 24 to 48 hours. I do take a little longer on the weekends, though. I do try to reserve time for my family on the weekends. So again, if it's urgent, feel free to text me. I don't mind that at all. Here's a little bit of a welcome from me to you, but there's also a video for that. Courtesy and sensitivity are really important to me. I think it's really important to be culturally responsive in any environment that we're in. So you can read this on your own, but if you have a different name or pronoun than I would see on my class roster, please feel free to share it with me and I will use that for you. You just need to let me know. Again, like I said, there's a lot of information in here. So I have hyperlinks so you could jump to different sections at any time if you want. But let me just give you kind of a rundown of what's in here. You can read the course description at another time, but ultimately what this course is providing for you is the tools you'll need to be a true literacy leader in your building and act in a coaching role. Here are our course objectives, which I will not read to you. You can read that at another time. There are many of them. And then, of course, all of the standards. This course is aligned with many sets of standards, but many standards within each, because you really need to embody the best practices of a teacher and a literacy specialist in order to coach someone else to do it. So here are Roberts teaching standards, New York State standards and teaching competencies, the ISTE standards, the ILA standards, both for reading literacy specialist preparation and literacy coach preparation. And then the social justice standards. And then here are our course materials. So the text, hopefully you already have or will be getting soon, is the Definitive Guide to Instructional Coaching by Jim Knight, who is one of the gurus of coaching in general. Hopefully you find this text useful. There are so many good texts. I actually have a really hard time. Every time I teach the course, I feel like I'm going to pick something different. There are just so many good books. So I just listed the ones that I think are fantastic. Elena Aguilar might be somebody you want to follow. She has a lot of free resources online. Diane Sweeney, same thing. They are very well-known literacy coaches, or just instructional coaches, and they provide a lot of free resources on their websites. But those books are fantastic too. Anyway, moving on. So here's our course calendar. I want you to think of every week in this way, where you are going to do some prep work on your own. And that prep work is reading, watching videos, that kind of thing, right? That's what you're getting ready for, or what, reading some slides. And then once you prepare, you can apply what you've learned. And so there'll be two things every week. One will be an activity, and it'll be a different kind of activity every week. It's just opportunity for you to practice applying what you've learned. But then there are group notes, which I'll talk about. This is really the bulk of where you'll want to spend your time, because this is where you're going to process what you're learning with your peers. But as you can see, our class always goes from Monday to Sunday each week. I have everything pretty much due. I don't know why that says the 19th instead of the 21st. I have everything due the end of the week. Each week I have a learning target that we're going to be focused on. You'll see the agenda or topics for the week. If the night is the book, so if there's a chapter, I'll list it here. But then I also might give you additional resources, and then any videos I'd have linked here too. And then whatever the activity is, there'll be a link to complete it over here. But literally I put everything all here. Everything is linked in one place, so it should be pretty easy to find what you're looking for. But that's really how our course calendar will go throughout the course of the course. So like I said, think about it in terms of when you're approaching a week, you'll see what the topics are for the week, and then you're going to do prep work where you're preparing yourself to engage in discussion and activity, and then you're going to do the work of applying what you've learned. Okay, so you can see that's the whole course calendar. Here's information on assignments. So like I said, there are group notes you're going to complete every week, and then weekly activities. You'll do an activity every week, and then these 4 assignments, which I'll talk about in a minute. I want to spend a minute on these group notes. I'm not a fan of discussion questions because I feel like they are not engaging. When I could pose a question and then so many people will respond in the same way. That's not really generating discussion like we would in person. So what I like to use is group notes. So what I have is everyone is grouped in Google Classroom, and they're within your assignments or classwork tab, you'll see an assignment called group notes. You'll only see your own groups, and there's a Google Doc there. So there's going to be this one running Google Doc where every week you are going to take notes. So I make a point here. This is not a summary of what you're reading. I don't want to see like bulleted notes of everything that you read, because that's kind of low level thinking, right? We want to get to those higher levels of thinking. So what I want you to do are pull out key points, major takeaways for you, connections to prior learning, questions that you were left with after the reading, or any other comments that show an actual deep engagement with the content. So again, not a summary, but something showing a deeper understanding of that. Also, in the night text, at the end of every chapter, there are reflection questions. As you read, take a look at those questions. There may be one that piques your interest that you want to discuss with your group. So you can plug it in there and then have a discussion right in that Google Doc. But I will not provide you with any prompts. This is going to be a totally authentic group discussion just in a Google Doc. So what you are tasked with is providing your own notes every week, but in addition, you'll respond to notes left by other group members. So by the end of the week in your Google Doc, there will be this record of an engaging discussion that includes every member's initial thoughts and then responses to one another. You might give feedback to each other, answer questions, ask further questions, really however you want to approach it. I just ask that however your group decides, either include your initials after your own comments, or you might color code. Sometimes groups like to color code their contributions. We're only going to use the one Google Doc for the entire course. So I will simply, you'll have week 1, you'll have all of your notes, and then I'll write a comment at the bottom. And then in Google Classroom, you can earn 2 points per week. So you're going to see it will go up 2 points every week. So it's going to look like after the first week, it's going to look like you've only earned 2 out of 16 points. I'm just going to keep updating that every week. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about that, just let me know. And I also have an example of what your group notes might look like in Google Classroom for you to kind of get an idea if you're a visual person. So that's what you'll do every week. It's always due on the last day of the week, Sundays, because like I said, you want to prep by reading and watching and thinking on your own before you engage in that discussion in your Google Doc. Also, every week you'll have weekly activities. You'll have an activity every week, which again, just will ask you to or help you process and apply whatever the new information is that week. I can't stress enough, how important participation in the weekly activities is, because this is the chance for you to really engage in applying the content, but also showing me that you're understanding the content. So I can see what I might need to do a little bit more teaching on or provide some clarification on. So make sure that you're completing those each week. Then in terms of assignments, I will talk more specifically about each of them when they come closer. One of the things you'll do is a constructive feedback case study. So here you'll practice giving feedback to a teacher, which is one thing that a coach would do. So I'll be giving you a case study to read and a video to watch, and you will kind of plan what kind of feedback you would give that teacher. And you'll be learning about ways in which to do that, ways in which to provide warm and cool feedback, ways to use questions and prompts to engage the teacher rather than you just providing all your feedback and they just sit and listen. So that'll be your first formal assignment due. Next, you'll do a coaching cycle plan and case study. So one of the main jobs of a coach is to engage in a coaching cycle. Again, we can't really engage in coaching because we don't, first of all, the time of year, plus we're not with each other synchronously. So again, I have a case study that you'll read and you will plan how you would go about going through a coaching cycle based on the information that I give you. But again, I'll talk more about that when it gets closer. Later on, you're going to engage in a Twitter ed chat. If you don't have Twitter, that's okay. I love using it for professional development. It's free professional development, and there's so much good stuff. So hopefully you'll find that usually people are a little skeptical when I say we're going to do something on Twitter if they don't already have it, because they feel like, oh, I don't really care what the Kardashians are doing right now. I used to think the same thing, but it's not like that. But people end up usually liking the experience. So again, I'll talk more about that later. And then finally, you'll be designing or creating an instructional playbook, which is the Knight textbook talks a lot about that. And this is going to be a tool that you're going to take and use once you're in a coaching role, and it's going to, I think you'll find it really helpful. Beyond that, I just have a couple of my own policies. This is my personal racial equity statement. My attendance policy, it's not that different. I just spell things out maybe differently than the university does. Take a look at that when you can. And in terms of a late policy, I do accept late work. There's a 10% point deduction for every day that it's past the due date, but I'm also incredibly flexible. If things, I get it, we're adults, things come up, just communicate with me. If you feel like you're struggling to adhere to a deadline, just communicate with me. And then of course, all the regular policies you would usually see in any of our syllabi. So that is our syllabus. Again, feel free to leave a comment right in the syllabus or send me an email and I'd be happy to answer for you.